It's yesterday once more.
Good evening, everyone. I think we're going to get started. For anyone coming on in, we'll have a rolling start. So just really glad that you're here this evening. My name is Maggie Zwicky. I'm the principal here at Oregon High School. Really fortunate to have so many people here to just gather up, kind of hear a little bit about what next school year is going to look like for you and your student. When I came in and I looked up and I'm like, wow, class of 2030. So like, when you get to high school, you start thinking of in terms of classes. So if you're a student in the audience, welcome class of 2030. This is my first year in this position as head principal at Oregon High School. This is my 5th year in the district. Before this year, I was lucky enough to be an associate principal here. So I really had some time to really grow to love this school community in particular. I'm also a community member. I live in Oregon. I have a daughter who's a sophomore this year, and I remember very clearly kind of coming to this evening and being in your shoes. And even at that time, I was an associate principal here. I still had all the same emotions that I'm sure you are all thinking and feeling too about what this experience is going to look like for you and your student. It's a really, really exciting time, but it's a lot to think about too, and it's a big step. Tonight is just one part of the process where we're going to give you some information to hopefully start kind of easing you a little bit into what this will look like. We have an amazing team of people here tonight that you will hear from, and you're going to get little bits of information along the way until you walk into the building. If you're a student as a 9th grader, or you send your student off here to come on their first day of 9th grade year. So this is just the start. You will leave here, these resources will be available to you, the people that you hear from will be available to you after this evening as well. So my hope is that you leave here just getting to know some faces and feeling a little bit more comfortable with this transition. I would love just to see a show of hands. Who is sending a 9th grade student to the high school for the first time? Awesome. Who has had a student come through Oregon High School or a current student already? Okay, so a little bit of a mix. For people who are brand new to this, you're going to survive, and it's really fun. It's a really fun place to be. I would say my very favorite thing about being a high school principal in particular is that the time between 9th grade year and the time that students leave us, Our students grow and change so much, and to see them go off into the world and be ready for their next step is really exciting. And that whole process in between about us being able to offer things that get them ready for that, I think you'll hear from everybody here tonight is one of our most favorite parts of the gig. So again, I just want to welcome you, and I want to invite you personally to reach out to me personally if you ever need anything. I'm a door always open kind of person, available by phone, all of those things. So if you have questions, we want you to ask them, and I invite you to do that regularly. You don't have to wait till something's wrong to reach out. So again, thanks for being here, and I think I'm turning it over to my friend, Missy Tracy. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm Missy Tracy. I'm one of the counselors here at the high school. I get the pleasure of introducing you to our team. So we have 4 of us counselors up here at the high school, and it's a little bit different than the middle school. Middle school is run by teams. Up here we go by alphabet, and then we also have what's called an AVID program. So we have one counselor that oversees our AVID program. So Miss Jurasevich, who you'll hear from in a minute, has last names A through F, and then also the AVID program. Miss Studer has last names G through N, so she's the middle part of the alphabet. Miss Schaefer has O through Z, so you'll hear from all of them momentarily. And then I'm Miss Tracy, like I said. We decided to have these 3 counselors just mainly focus on our students and student support, and then we put all the duties onto my position. So I update the Google Classroom, I do the assessments, the AP Advanced Placement exams, the ACT, the scheduling, just kind of the odds and ends, whatever I can do to kind of help out the team, and then of course see kids whenever I have a chance. So again, we don't have teams per se, but we broke it down into neighborhoods just to try to make our big school of almost 1,400 kids smaller. We broke it into 3 different neighborhoods. So our first neighborhood, partnering with Miss Jurasevich, is Miss Mittling. So they have together last names A through F and AVID. So Miss Mittling is an associate principal. And then Dr. Hunter, sorry Dr. Hunter, I need to update my slide. Dr. Hunter and Miss Studer have the middle part of the alphabet, and Dr. Hunter's in the back there. And then last names O through Z, Mr. Ashmore is also in the back, partnered up with Miss Schaefer. So those are kind of the 2 first points of contact for the students. And then in student services, we have a pretty big department. So when you first walk in, you see Miss Olkey. She's one of our administrative assistants. She greets our students and helps them to find what they're looking for. Miss Otterson is also one of our admin assistants, and she helps out a lot in kind of the running reports, the background kinds of things. Miss Mitchell is our school social worker, and she can help students out with resources, or if there's anything with regards to homelessness, or transportation, any of these issues that come up, Miss Mitchell can help out. Miss Oscar is our mental health coordinator, so she specifically focuses on students that maybe need a little bit more intensive support, or maybe they were in inpatient, outpatient types of treatment having to do with mental health, and she helps to provide a smooth transition back into the school day. Miss Lauby and Miss Hansen are both school psychologists, and we broke those up into alphabet as well. So Miss Lauby has last names A through N, and Miss Hansen has last names O through Z. And if your student has an IEP or an individual education plan or a 504 accommodation plan, that's mainly what they work on. They're kind of the point people for those items. If you don't know what those are, then your child probably doesn't have one. Miss Delzer is our social emotional learning coach, and she also works at the middle school. So she helps out a lot with our connections and delivering our character building type programming. And then Miss D'Amelio up here, you'll hear from her later about our school to career program, youth apprenticeship, employability skills. So I'll let her dive into that a little bit. And then I haven't seen Miss Carmen here today. Miss Storley is our interpreter, but she's not here this evening. And then just like the students do in their classrooms, we're going to provide you with some learning targets. So the objective tonight is to make sure that you understand the registration process, that you understand what the graduation requirements are to graduate in 2030. Academic support, we want to make sure that you're aware of all the academic support that is provided and which electives would be the best ones to pick out for freshmen. They don't get to pick out as many as sophomore, juniors, and seniors, but we'll walk you through that as well. And then also, we'll touch just a moment on our 9th grade orientation that happens in August. So all of that's coming up. And this is Maddie Schaefer.
Hi everybody, thanks for being here. It was really awesome to see all the hands up for the families who are going to have a high schooler for the first time, so welcome to OHS. We're going to start off with some important dates coming up, and it's going to kind of set the tone for the rest of our slideshow, because really you're being tasked as 8th grade families to start the course selection process for 9th grade. So next Thursday, January 22nd, all of us counselors are going to the middle school in the history classes to meet with 8th graders to start talking about classes for high school. They will then have a week to fill out their course selections, and so they'll get a lot of information during our visit next week. They'll have a week to fill out their course selection forms to turn back into their history teachers on January 29th. And then the week after that, us counselors are going back to the middle school, this time to visit science classrooms where they will do the actual course entry into Zello. So Zello at the high school is a platform that all students have access to, and it's the platform that we use to do our course entry, which then transfers into Infinite Campus. So we really want students, and we'll emphasize this when we go to visit, for them to pick classes that they're interested in taking, because the course selection process is what determines how many sections of classes we'll run based on interest from this year's Zello input process. Okay, so those are our dates that are coming up here that we want to make sure we're on your radar, because that comes up quick next week. The next slide we're going to talk about is academic and career planning. So ACP is what it's also referred to, is an ongoing process that really starts at the middle school level. So students throughout middle school will do a 4-year plan, which is essentially starting to think about their high school years while they're still in the district to move towards a goal of a career or a potential pathway of interest, a post-secondary plan, as you will. And this process really encompasses a few different things. As you're starting off as freshmen, it's really, who am I as a learner? What is my learning style? Who am I and how do I work with others? What are my strengths and my weaknesses? What are the things I need to work on? And then as you kind of go through high school, it shifts into, where am I going? What do I want to do? Do I want to go to college? Am I looking to go into the workforce? Am I interested in the military or the trades? There's all of these different pathways to start exploring. And then really once you get into your upperclassmen years, it's how do I get there? So it's starting to look at things as what are my next steps to ensure that I'm on the path to get to where I want to go. And so that's going to be things like a junior conference, which is an individual meeting that you'll have with your counselor during your junior year. We'll talk a lot about how to get to your goal. It could be things that you'll hear more about from Ms. D'Amelio, youth apprenticeship opportunities, employability skills, early college credit programming, all things that we offer here at the school to help you get to the post-secondary goals that you're setting for yourselves or your kids are setting for themselves as they move through high school. So that's academic and career planning. And then these are the career clusters. So students have learned a lot about these in middle school. So there's 16 career clusters, and we are lucky enough at the high school to offer courses in all 16 of these career clusters. So when you start to look at elective classes that you're going to start taking as early as your freshman year, you can start the exploration of finding out maybe if you're interested in agriculture, you join natural resources or animals, plants, and you. You can start looking in our course guide, which students will get access to when we visit them next week at the middle school, of different options available to them for elective classes, and starting to look at what are the prerequisites? So if I know I want to take horse and animal science in the future, I know I have to have animals, plants, and you first. So it's starting to map out that 4-year plan so that you can start to have access to the things that you're most passionate about as high school students and looking forward to the future. And then next is Zello. So Zello is something that every student has access to. This essentially is going to show you the process of getting into Zello. So students go to the high school homepage. There's the For Students section, and then they click on Zello. They can log in that way. And this is really an exploration tool. It's also the platform that we use to do course entry, but there's a lot of features on here where you can look at specific universities, you can look at specific careers, you can look at specific majors, and it'll give you a ton of information about how to get to those places for your future. So Zello, I think, is sometimes an underutilized tool, but so just know that every student has access to Zello. And then this is what the Zello course planner looks like. So this is what we're going to have students log into on February 5th to do their course entry. So once they go into Zello, they will fill out their 9th grade column. A lot of that is going to be required courses, which Ms. Studer is going to talk about in a couple of minutes. And you'll hear from a few other key people related to some of the course selection process. But just so you are aware, Zello has kind of 2 features that we use at the high school, the exploration side of it, and then the course entry side of it. And then I'm handing it off to Ms. Studer.
All right, thank you. Okay, I get to talk a little bit more about course selection, and we're going to get real specific in a second so that you know as 8th graders for 9th grade year what specific courses you're going to be signing up for. But before we get there, we want to start off really broad. So let's talk about what you actually need to graduate, and then we'll get more specific to 9th grade year. So you need 4 credits of English, 3 of the other core classes. Legislative semester is newly added, I think it was last year, and that will be taken junior year. That's counting as a half of a social studies credit. 3 half credits of PE. So usually that's taken once freshman year, once sophomore year, once junior year, but usually once a year. They can be spaced out through the 4 years. A half a credit of health, usually taken in 10th grade. A half of a personal finance, usually in 11th, sometimes 12th grade, and then the rest are elective, 7. So we put that all together for a total of about 23 credits. So if we break it down just a little more, you can see under English, you'll have a lot of choices for English. There's English 9 or an honors equivalent, English 10, honors equivalent, and English 11 or an AP equivalent. And then senior year, there's a lot more choice as far as your courses. For social studies, you have to take US in the 20th century, and we'll talk more specific about this freshman year in just a second. World civilizations, or the equivalent AP world, and then that legislative semester. For PE, the one requirement for PE is all freshmen take fitness foundations. And again, we'll dig into that with more specific freshman courses in just a second. Health is taken sophomore year, and personal finance is typically taken junior or senior year. So on the next slide, we're going to take a closer look at what specific classes typical freshmen will take. So you can see they're going to have 1 credit of English, and I'll give you your choices in just a second on that. 1 credit of math, 1 credit of science, 1 credit of social studies, a half of a credit of fitness foundations as their PE, and then depending on how many electives you choose will determine how many study halls. So for example, if there's 8 periods in a day, you can have up to 2 learning resources, or what they're kind of like traditional study halls, but they're with a specific core teacher that is in there to help with assignments and such. So if you want 2 study halls and there's 8 periods in a day, you will sign up for 6 periods or 6 credits of courses. If you want 2 study halls one semester and 1 the other semester, then, or 2 learning resources first semester and 1 the second semester, you would have 6.5. If you want one learning resource for the whole year, then it would be 7 credits you sign up for. So basically what you sign up for is what you'll get in there. The remaining would be open periods or what become learning resources or other types of resource supports that you'll hear Ms. J talk about in just a second. One thing I do want to mention is we really do encourage most freshmen to have one study hall or learning resource just to help them be successful that first year here. Okay, we are lucky enough to have Mr. Johnson here from the science department, so he's going to give you a little bit more information on your choices for science.
So unlike some of the other content areas for science, we've got a pretty flexible approach to their students' pathways through science. And so I'm going to share with you the options of science courses that are generally taken by 9th graders. What I have up here is a menu. And this menu generally is the classes taken in 9th and 10th grade. So this is kind of that bulk of classes that are 9th and 10th grade, and students often chart their course through it. Now there are some students who in 10th grade choose to go into advanced science classes, but unless they're looking to be advanced in science, these courses should cover what they're taking in 9th and 10th grade. So we've got a couple options that you certainly can take additional for elective here, but we've got 3 half-credit options that you could take any 2 of those 3. So let me introduce those. There's an electricity and magnetism course. It's a very introductory and welcoming chance to look at how electricity works, how magnetism works, and how we use these things for communication. We've got an environmental science course, looking at the systems of Earth and then human impact on the Earth around us. And then we also have a semester course on Earth and space science, which looks at Earth, at stars, and the Big Bang. So those could be combined 2 half-credit courses for the year, or the other option is taking a full year of biology, which we've got both the fall semester and the spring semester where they learn about cells and genetics and the human body and all kinds of great biology things. So again, picking 1 credit out of this would be the goal in science there. You can take additional for elective, but very likely this is the menu of how you're choosing for 9th and 10th grade, unless you're looking to be advanced in 10th grade.
Mr. Johnson. Okay, so let's go on to the English choices. For freshmen, there's 2 options. There's English 9 or Honors English 9. Honors English 9 is going to be a little bit more rigorous. One of the, and we'll talk more with the students about this when we go to visit the 8th graders next week, but one of the suggestions we have is if you can't decide which option should I choose, one of the best resources that you could reach out to is the current English teacher that you have or your child has to give a recommendation. Okay, so for math, there are a few different options, and it's mostly dependent on which math class you're in right now in 8th grade. So if you are in 8th grade, regular 8th grade math, you're going to sign up for algebra next year. If you are currently sitting in 8th grade in algebra, you're going to sign up for geometry next year. And if you are currently taking geometry in 8th grade, you're going to sign up for algebra 2 next year. Algebra is a little, the math choices are a little bit more scripted. We do have, and Ms. J is going to talk a little bit more about this, for students who would like a little bit more algebra support, maybe math is just not your favorite subject. We offer an algebra support class that is for elective credit, and it's with an algebra teacher to kind of help with homework, so that would replace one of the learning resources in the schedule. Okay, for social studies, it's pretty straightforward. All freshmen take US in the 20th century. So that one will be for everybody, 100%. Same with PE, pretty straightforward. All freshmen will sign up for a half credit of fitness foundations. Okay, where there's a little bit more choice is between that 1.5 credits usually to potentially 2-ish credits of electives that students will get to choose from. Sometimes up to 3 depending on how many learning resources. So I'm going to go through some of the common options that students can choose from for electives. Okay, in our agriculture department, there is a year-long credit of animals, plants, and you. That's a great class for future vets out there or people interested in working with animals, plants, truly anything related to natural resources. That's also a great class. I will say natural resources also kind of doubles as a science credit as well, but is also an agriculture credit. For art, all freshmen, the prerequisite for most upper level art classes is Art 1. So for freshmen, your option is going to be Art 1. And if you have hopes of taking some of those other adventure photography, fundamental photography, some of those other classes during sophomore year, then we do recommend you take Art 1 as a freshman. Also, if later on you're hoping to get into like Art 2 drawing or painting, ceramics, Art 1 is going to be your prerequisite as well. We have several business classes available here. Some are going to be like Digital Tech 1. If you take that, you can take Digital Tech 2. Web design, multimedia, intro to business, Microsoft Office specialist. And we always tell students not all these classes will run because it's kind of dependent on how many people sign up for the classes, if we can have sections run. So if you are interested in it, please sign up for it so that we get an accurate picture of how many students really want to take these classes. And hopefully if we can get enough, then we can run the course. For family and consumer sciences, typically Intro to Child Development runs and Teen Chef, as well as Intro to Occupational Health. So if you are really interested in any of the health science field or would like to start exploring it, for example, Intro to Health Sciences is a really good opportunity to start exploring all the different areas of health sciences. And then same with child development as well, like for anybody interested in working with children. I've had kids who want to be child psychologists down the line, or even some students who want to be educators, students who want to, I've even had some people who want to go into the medical field but work with children, like they wanted to get a better understanding of child development. And so they also took this class as freshmen to just learn a little bit more about it. And then again, like I said, this year Focus on Fashion didn't run, for example, but we always tell students if this is an area of interest of yours, put it down, and you never know if we can get enough students. Okay, for our tech ed department, we have a couple options there. The first one is Foundations of Technology. So you might see it on the course selection sheet as Tech and Engine because it's kind of an overview of all of our technology classes, but also an overview of all of our engineering courses as well. So you might see it on there as Tech and Engine, for example. And then Small Engines is a half credit, and that also is another great option. Marketing, we have a couple options there. Principles of Marketing is a year-long course that students can take for 1 credit, or Leadership, where they start developing some of those leadership skills. Both of those are great intro classes into the marketing department. So a lot of students later on will want to take sports marketing, for example, because they got more knowledge in this area their freshman year with their intro to marketing courses. And then for music, we have quite a few options for music. So for choir, there's chamber choir, and then there's Imara, which is more for tenor and bass voices. And then we have concert band and orchestra as well. So we're very fortunate here. We have orchestra, we have band, we have choir. It's a really developed music department here. And then lastly, our world languages. So there's 3 world language options now for freshmen. New this year is American Sign Language for freshmen, or ASL. The difference with ASL, and I don't think it must not have updated on the slide. We just found that out right before we came in here. And so we probably need, the slideshow we'll email out to you guys, we'll have that information on it. But ASL for freshmen will be offered levels 1 through 4, hopefully, if we get enough students. And then we also offer Spanish and German. For Spanish, currently, we offer levels 1 through 5, and German, levels 1 through 5. Some students are currently sitting in Spanish 1 at the middle school, and so their teacher may say, we recommend they do 1 again just to get that solid foundation here. Or their teacher may say, we recommend they go into Spanish 2 or German 2, for example, when they get to the high school. Which would be necessary if they're trying to get to Spanish or German 5 by senior year. There are a few benefits that we have here by getting to that high level. Both of our teachers of German 5 and Spanish 5 are UW Green Bay professors. Technically, they have their certification for that. So if students complete German 5 or Spanish 5, and earn a B or above, they can earn up to 14 UW Green Bay credits that they could transfer to this, wherever they end up going if it's not UW Green Bay. So it's a pretty cool opportunity that I think is really unique to this school, and is a great opportunity. We do not have that with ASL. I do want to say that. Okay. There's usually quite a few foreign language questions, especially around admissions and things like that. So we will be sure to stay down here to answer more specific questions around foreign language or any of your questions in general. Okay? Who am I turning it up to? Okay, Miss D'Amelio, she's gonna talk.
Well, thank you very much. All right, good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm Anna D'Amelio, the School to Career Coordinator here. I mostly speak to students who are rising juniors and seniors, but I like being able to talk to younger students as well, sometimes just to start building that relationship. And so I go into all the sophomore health classes, and I also go into all the sophomore and junior AVID classes as well, and I connect with all the students. But for those of you who are students here tonight or pass it along to your incoming freshmen, I think that one of the things that you can really do right out the gate is to take care of those 40 hours of community service. And there's multiple reasons for that, but from my angle, the main reason is because you can participate in some activities where you're not only helping others, helping the community, but you are also maybe trying things out that help you see what you like and what you don't like. Let's say you are helping out with animals, or you're helping out with kids, or maybe you're helping out at an assisted care facility, and something might spark joy in you, and you decide, hey, I really like working with people, or I want to learn more about this sort of thing. And so it's another angle for your student or you to really kind of see, what do I like, what do I not like? So taking care of those 40 hours not only helps you do some career exploration, but it takes care of the requirement. And you know what, if you get into NHS when you are a junior, you're going to need to get some more volunteer hours. So then you'll have this taken care of, and you can focus on your NHS hours. Actively engage in the academic and career planning activities during Panther Connections, but it doesn't just live in Panther Connections. But during our Panther Connections, we do some targeted career exploration activities where you kind of find out a little bit more about what you like, what you don't like, about your career interests, maybe where you might want to get some training or education after high school. And so I know it's just a moment in time, and really you living your life, you taking your classes, that's where academic and career planning really lives. So, but definitely during Panther Connection time, definitely kind of tune in and focus and use it as an opportunity to reflect. And Ms. Studer shared with you a lot of different course options for incoming freshmen. There's so many more elective courses that are out there. We are very, very rich in elective courses here, both in the core areas and the career tech ed areas and the music areas and the fine arts areas. And so really take it seriously and think about when you're signing up for classes in Zello, don't just like leave some blanks there and, because someone will fill it in for you probably, so you round it off with some options, but pay attention to some classes maybe some classes in different departments or areas where you're like, I never would have thought about this, but it's a good opportunity for you to learn some skills, because really you want to learn some skills. That's what's super important. What the things that you can do, maybe there's some certifications you can earn, and so really that helps you push yourself and it helps you figure out what you like and don't like also. And when you're planning for your junior and or senior years, especially when you're planning for your senior year, because you have a little more opening in your schedule, make an appointment with me, and then we could talk about opportunities like Start College Now, where maybe you could take some classes at Madison College, or early college credit through UW System School. We also offer lots of dual credit opportunities here where you could get college credit by taking various courses. Maybe you're interested in getting a job. I recommend that at some point you all get a job. It's just to get some exposure and experience, but maybe you want work release for that job. And then if a student comes to me and they've taken some classes, or they've had family members or friends, or they've had some sort of volunteer experience or something where they're like, hey, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do healthcare. I think I want to do electrician. I think I want to do engineering. I can't promise you a job, but I'll do what I can to support you. It's kind of a joint effort in getting a youth apprenticeship job. And youth apprenticeship, that's a program where it's really tied to a career-oriented interest. And we try to get you some work experience in that. If I can't find you a job, maybe there are some great electives here I can recommend, or some college coursework, or some certifications. So I look forward to the class of 2030 knocking on my door and meeting them. Have a good evening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelly Jurasevich. Students call me Miss J because Jurasevich is hard. And I swear to you, we are really close to the end, so thanks for sticking it out with us. I'm going to chat a little bit about some additional academic supports that we offer here at the high school. So first, already mentioned, was algebra support. To just give you a little more information about this, this is again an elective course that students earn credit to take if they need additional support in algebra. And this is with an algebra teacher, and they go over concepts again, they help with homework, they may review tests, and make sure that students are really understanding and comprehending all of the different pieces of Algebra 1. We also have something called the Success Center. This is a classroom that we have a teacher who is really specialized in the 9th and 10th grade curriculum, specific to the core content areas. And this is an opportunity for students to go during the learning resource to get extra help when it comes to organization, getting caught up in classes, homework assistance, reviewing for studying, kind of all of those general academic skills that they may need additional support. This is open to any student that wants that help. So we have students who maybe are out sick for a week and need help getting caught up and getting organized, and they'll go visit it a few times. And we also have students who go every single day. So it just kind of depends on what each student needs. PASS, or Panther After School Study, is another option that students can participate in. This is open to any student. It is Monday through Thursday after school from 4 to 5 in the library. And there is a teacher that staffs it to supervise and to help out academically if they are able, depending on the subject. A lot of times we have a math teacher who helps out quite a bit, so that's an added bonus. But we also have a late bus for students who need a ride to get home, since it's open till 5, so that's an option as well. Peer tutoring is another option where students could fill out a peer tutor form. This is typically an upperclassman who has taken the class that the student is needing help in, or maybe they've advanced past that class, and they can meet with them either before school, after school, lunch, or during the study hall, depending on each other's schedules, and they can help support a student with that academic help as well. Learning resources were mentioned as well. These are our study halls, and we can often, as counselors, work with students if they have an area that they're struggling in to try to place them with a teacher in that area so that they have their support each day to be able to answer questions and get some homework help as well. And then finally, Math Resource is a targeted math study hall. We have one almost every hour of the day. and this is with a math teacher. It's a lot smaller class sizes, like usually we're ranging from sometimes 4 kids to maybe 10 kids, and they can get that math help specifically during the study hall. So mentioned before, I am the AVID counselor, so I wanted to share a little bit about this program. AVID stands for Advancement Via Individual Determination, and this is a program that really the mission is to close the achievement gap and to help students be college and career ready. This is a program that students need to fill out an application and do an interview for and be selected to be a part of the program. It is an elective course that is on student schedules, and they stick with the same cohort of students, it's the same class and the same teacher all 4 years throughout high school. So the really neat thing about this program is it becomes a true family-like atmosphere where they're really getting to know their classmates and their teacher, and then myself and Miss Mittling really work closely with these students as well. And really the class focuses on helping students who maybe have barriers in their life, like maybe they're the first student who is attending college in their family, so they don't have any support at home to kind of walk through that college application process. And it helps build study skills that are directly related to college and things like that. So it's a really great opportunity. We will pull some data in spring, and students who qualify based off of kind of being in that academic middle, and again, some of those barriers that might be in place, we will invite students to fill out that application and then go through the interview process. So it's a really great program. Freshman orientation will be coming up in August, which it feels weird to be talking about August already. It is a half day on Wednesday, August 19th, and it is a really great opportunity for our freshmen to come in, get a feel for the building, learn a little bit more. We will do visits in May as well, where students will get a tour, but this is just a little more like in-depth kickoff to the year. So we have a lot of high energy. We have our Pride crew, which is our upperclassmen that will help students around the building, answer questions that they might have, and really get kids feeling comfortable with finding their classes and their lockers and things like that. So it's definitely something that you don't want to miss this summer. And then I believe this is close to our final piece. So we have a Google Classroom for each grade. That has a plethora of information that Miss Tracy is constantly updating. And so if you would like to join that, you can use the QR code and enter in the classroom code as well. And again, this just is a bunch of information in terms of like course selection stuff. As students get, later we'll talk about ACT dates, or it might include some of Miss D'Amelio's dates that she was talking about. So kind of anything we as a student services department want to get information out to you, we will do it through this Google Classroom. And then these last 2 slides we have are just some contact information for you. If you have any questions that are specific to a department, we have the department chairs listed here with their emails. And then I believe the next one is everybody in student services. So you'll have access to those once we send this out to you all in an email. So I just want to thank you all for being here and giving us your attention. We're super excited to work with you for the next 4 years. We'll be down here for a couple minutes for any specific questions. Thank you.